Hello, hello. Welcome to the first video for Unit 1 for AP Environmental Science, Unit 1 being the living world ecosystems. In this video, we're going to go through the first topic from the first unit for AP Environmental Science. Just to give you a breakdown of what videos you will see, we will have the first video, this being the one on Introduction to Ecosystems. Following this, we'll have terrestrial biomes, then aquatic biomes. Then we'll talk about the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, the phosphorus cycle, and the water cycle. Then we'll talk about primary productivity, and the final video will be trophic levels, energy flow in the 10% rule, and food chains and food webs. So those last three topics will be one video altogether. So let's get it started with the first video, the first topic, Introduction to Ecosystems. And we will start by talking about the fact that we have predators and prey in an ecosystem. Predators will eat other organisms. Those are the prey. So when you have predators, keep that in mind. They are higher on the food chain in the food web, and they will seek prey and eat the prey. Now, when we talk about relationships between species in an ecosystem, we typically look at what's called symbiotic relationships or symbiosis. They are close and long-term interactions between two species. The first being mutualism. When you think of mutualism, you can think of both species benefiting. An example here is an oxpecker and the rhinoceros, or a zebra, where the oxpecker will actually eat most of the predators and parasites, bugs. They will help the rhinoceros. So the oxpecker gets food, and the rhinoceros or the zebra then gets an opportunity of being protected, so they both benefit. Commensalism is where one species benefits and the other is not harmed or benefited. So you can think of that as being a relationship where only one really sees a gain, but the other is indifferent. So it's not like it's harming it, but it's also not giving it any extra benefit. An example of that is cattle egrets and livestock. So as livestock move through different areas as they're grazing, the cattle egrets will come in afterwards and eat the different kinds of insects that are in in their manure and in the droppings. The cattle egrets will benefit, and the livestock really doesn't see any positive or negative impact at all. Another example is orchids growing on trees. The orchids will use the tree to get higher up to be able to get more sunlight. They don't harm the tree. They're not taking sunlight away from the tree. They're just using the tree. And there's no real negative impact on the tree in that situation. Parasitism is the other side, where you have one side that benefits and the other being harmed. Big example of that I'm sure you've experienced in your own life are mosquitoes and humans. Mosquitoes obviously feed off of humans' blood. It harms the human and it benefits the mosquito. Another one is aphids and trees. You can see in this example here, they will eat part of the tree, the leaves. They benefit them, the aphids, but they do not benefit the tree. They actually harm the tree. Now, competition is a little bit different. It's not really a symbiotic relationship, but competition occurs between species, or it can occur within a species. So, two bears fighting over resources, or different species that are fighting over limited resources. Competition is very important when it comes to what species is able to thrive and survive in an area. Now, one way that different species can kind of coexist is resource partitioning, where the resources are used in different ways or at different times, and it can reduce that negative impact of competition. So one example, it's a great example, is the warbler. And you can see from this beautiful diagram here, there are 5 different warblers that will feed from different parts of the tree. And so they're not directly competing with each other, even though they all rely on this tree to live. They will actually use different parts of the tree, and it allows them to not have to compete with each other. So it reduces their competition, which allows them all to thrive. So that's going to bring us to the end of the first video. Our next video will be all about terrestrial biomes. where we'll look at biomes on the Earth.